Hi, everyone, and welcome to our show. As you can tell, we were supposed to have a guest for the show today, but unfortunately, he was not able to make it. So we have to go. The show has to go on, as they say. So you have me. Um, and firstly, I'd like to wish each and every one of you a very happy New Year. 2020 was very difficult for all of us, and I wouldn't just say some of us, for all of us. So, truly, my prayer for each and every one of you is that you continue to stay safe and well in 21, and that you come out even stronger. And we pray that it's a better year. We're all hoping for things to return to normal. I don't think people expected it to happen at the stroke of midnight when we came into 21, but it hasn't. But that doesn't really matter. Let's continue to stay strong and hope things return to normal. Um, what did you do in 2020 as a breeder? What were the things that unable to go to shows? What did you spend time doing? Did you take stock of what you had done in previous years? Did you spend time looking at your breeding program? So many things that I hope many of you are doing, and health testing, doing stuff with your dogs, training them, alternative stuff, perhaps even just to do a bit of obedience training if you're a confirmation person, that sort of stuff. But the subject I want to talk to you about today, which is actually the title of this little chit chat I'm going to have with you guys for the next 20 minutes or so, is called "Be an Ambassador," and it's just something that I've been thinking about for a while now, and it's a point that has bothered me, and so I just bear with me as I ramble through this and share my thoughts about this, because I think it's important. It needs to be addressed. We need to do it, because what people don't realize is that when you are an owner of a pedigree dog, when you're a breeder, you are actually an ambassador. You're an ambassador, firstly, for that breed that you're involved with, the breed that you love, the breed that you're dedicated to. And secondly, you're an ambassador for pedigree dogs. So you are the face that people see. Unfortunately, many people don't see themselves as an ambassador. Many people relegate that role of being a representative to their kennel clubs. Many relegate it to the FCI, and feel it's the responsibility of these organizations to be the ambassador for pedigree dogs. And whilst these organizations I've mentioned and spoken about are important, and they do play an important role in being ambassadors, in promoting our sport, in promoting pedigree dogs, at the same time, we are the face that most people will see. The man on the street is not going to go and look for your kennel club to know about pedigree dogs. They are not going to go and look up the FCI immediately. The first thing they're going to come into contact with is actually you. You are the person they see in the street walking your dogs, in the fields walking your dogs, playing with your dogs in a park, whatever it may be. The simplest things that you take for granted is actually you are the face of that. People see you, and naturally your dog. So the reaction that you and your dog give to people on the street, to man on the street, to Joe Public, is actually going to create an impression in them of your breed, of you, of pedigree dogs. So many people have negative thoughts or negative impressions about certain breed because of an experience that they had, a negative experience they had with that breed, where a particular breed has growled at them or tried to attack them or something like that. So that's what they stay with. So when you're out there walking your dog, when you're out there doing the things that you do naturally, which you don't even think about, just remember that you are the face, you are the walking ambassador for pedigree dogs, because people are seeing what you do. People are seeing how your dogs behave and how they react to people, to things, and that's the impression that they will have in their mind. Obviously, yes, when we hope that people who are going to get a dog will actually do some research, go to your kennel club website, to the FCI, stuff like that. But you are the first point of contact. And that brings me to the point of being a breeder. As a breeder, you are also an even bigger face of your breed, because people will be looking to you as an expert on your breed, as a person who has knowledge about this breed, as a person that can give them knowledge. I mean, okay, so how this came about is that during 2020, with a little bit more time on my hands, I joined a number of local pet groups, even groups for pedigree dogs, but they were pet groups primarily. And initially, my initial reaction when I read some of these comments was a massive amount of eye rolling. I couldn't believe the comments that were on there, the things people said, the puppies people bought because of who was reaching out to these people. And these pet groups, unfortunately, are filled with a lot of people with not much breed knowledge, not much knowledge that, say, you and I, as breeders and people involved in pedigree dogs, would have. So they are getting advice, and they are getting all this so-called breed information from people who are not really experts, do not have a passion and a dedication for their chosen breeds, but commercial people. But these commercial people are the ones that are willing to take the time to reach out to them, to answer the silly questions, to deal with the simple things, simple questions which we assume any dog owning person would know. But guess what? They don't. They don't have an idea about these things. So they're getting information from these people who are commercially driven. They are not ambassadors for their breed. They're not people who love their breeds. They're not people that are dedicating themselves to improving this breed, but they're mainly, by far, people who are just breeding commercially and churning out puppies. Puppy farmers, for want of a better word. But these are the people that are willing to engage with Joe Public. I'm guilty of this myself. I mean, how many times have we had silly questions from pet people, and we got annoyed and we thought, I can't be bothered to deal with these people. We're not doing this to make a living. We're not doing this to, put food on the table. So for us, it's okay. We do a breeding because we want something for ourselves, for the next generation. We want something for the show ring. That's our focus. And so, if it's a good litter, there's something available for other show people, fantastic. And we just, sell those on. Additional puppies, there's usually people, good people, or maybe bought something from us before that have come back, they want a puppy, that sort of stuff. And so we tend not to spend a lot of time focusing on nurturing new people about our breed, educating new people about our breed, helping them to get a better understanding, no matter how annoying the questions might be, no matter how repetitive we may feel the questions are, but we do not take the time to do this because most of us have got better things to do. Most of us are busy, we have a life, and we want to deal with people at the same level of us in terms of dedication and understanding to pedigree dogs. But in doing that, we are doing a huge injustice to the masses of people out there who are pet owners who merely just want to own a pedigree dog. But in many instances, they go away from genuine breeders. I'm talking about people who are genuinely breeding for the good of pedigree dogs or trying to improve, and they seek out these puppy farmers and people who are willing to give them the time of the day, because for them it's a livelihood. And so they have to sell the puppies, which means they have to deal with the silly questions or deal with the repetitive nature or the annoying things that people can get up to. But that's where we've lost a lot of people who are getting information from people that are commercially driven, who are buying dogs from people who may not be health testing, people who are just churning out puppies purely because they're the only people that are willing to deal with the masses. They're the only people that are willing to give them time of day. to spend the time required to answer questions. And that's sad, because what then ends up happening is that we are perpetuating a habit, a culture of these people heading off and getting information from the wrong people, from buying dogs or puppies from untested, stock, and perpetuating health issues from people who don't health test, from people who can't be bothered, who are unaware of the issues that certain breeds may have, because they're commercially driven. And what ends up happening is then, because these are the people, the majority of the pedigree dogs out there tend to then come from commercial puppy farms, and then they end up having health issues. They go to these pet owners go to vets who treat them, vets who fill up reports saying that pedigree dogs are unhealthy, and blah, blah, blah. And you see where I'm going with this. So what then happens is that all these unhealthy dogs are pedigree dogs, but you and I know they didn't come from genuine breeders who have a love for the breed, but commercially driven. And so when all these reports get put together, when vets are approached by animal liberation people and everything, their conclusion then becomes that pedigree dogs are unhealthy. Pedigree dogs are full of genetic hereditary diseases. And that is not true, because you and I know that, yes, genetic diseases exist, but if you are a conscientious breeder, you're going to health test, whether it's PRA testing or hip and elbow scores or whatever it is, you are going to do that. And so these people, vets and things like that, end up putting reports which are not untrue, because if you ask them, when they have a customer coming in or a client, they're not going to say, is this bought from a genuine breeder, or has this even got a pedigree certificate? They're just going to see that this is a pedigree dog, whatever breed, it's registered as that breed, it's recognized as that breed. And so their reporting, their views on these dogs is then very skewed, because what they end up seeing is all these problems that are coming up and issues. And so then we get the labels of pedigree dogs are unhealthy. Pedigree dogs are not, they're going to cost you an arm and a leg in vet bills. So because of that cycle that we're helping to perpetuate, we then end up getting under attack from animal liberation groups, from Don't Shop, Adopt groups, all these people, because they then have the so-called ammunition to attack us with. But unfortunately, they got the ammunition from illegal sources, from not genuine reports, for want of a better word, fake reports, but not really fake, because it actually came from data that was taken from so-called pedigree dogs. And this is where I find that, my appeal to you guys at the start of this year, the reason for this video to talk to you a little bit about, is to think about being an ambassador. You may never have considered that thought. You may have never entertained that idea, but just remember that you are the face of your breed and of pedigree dogs, and take that role seriously, because we complain so much when we are under attack, when all these reports come up, when these animal liberation people attack us and say things about us, and whatever it is, we end up then saying, oh, we get upset, and then we're blaming kennel clubs, we're blaming the FCI, we're blaming everyone else, when we have not realized that we were part of the problem, because we could not be bothered to deal with people, we could not be bothered to take the time to deal with these people, because we were just too busy. But yet we complain that we're under attack, yet we complain that we have, we're facing restrictions from governments, that governments are turning to these organizations to get their data, to come up with ideas. And because these animal liberation groups and so on have a strong lobby, they then start to deal with these people and come up with these reports. And so then when governments come up with regulations about breeding or whatever, we get upset. But we've been part of the problem. We've not done our part in being bothered to reach out to these people. I mean, I know it can be annoying, but it's our responsibility. If we do not take the time to educate people properly, to give them correct information, to nurture them, not just people who are interested in shows or things like that, but the pet people. If we don't take the time to nurture them, then it's very difficult. We cannot blame anyone except ourselves. When governments come up with legislation, when vets say things, when they come up with all these things, rules to control us, because actually we perpetuated it. So what am I asking you to do? One, actually get involved in these pet groups. Spend time to answer questions. Spend time to educate people. I'll give you an example. On one of the a Pedigree dog group, someone asked about where they could get a puppy first. They wanted to buy a puppy of this breed, and someone came on immediately and said, "Adopt, don't shop." And so I asked the person, "Why do you promote that?" I mean, listen, I'm a big advocate. I'm involved with rescue and mixed breed rescues and things like that. I have supported it. I continue to support it. But at the same time, I'm a huge advocate of pedigree dogs, and I support all the dogs in shelters and things because I love them. I love dogs, whether they're pedigree or not. I love them. But at the same time, I'm not going to force somebody, guilt them into adopting a dog if that's not what they want to. I'm not going to guilt someone into feeling that they have to adopt something out of guilt. Because if they have, for example, small children and they want to buy a puppy that they know comes from good temperament, predictable health issues and things like that, why should we guilt someone into getting a dog from a shelter if they want for the safety of their children or their families? I'm not saying all shelter animals are fierce, please don't get me wrong, but what I'm saying is that a lot of these people guilt people into buying these or adopting animals purely because there are lots of animals in shelters that need to be adopted, and so they guilt them into this. They guilt them from buying something, and that's not the way, because at the end of the day, everyone's got choice of choosing what they want to do. If they want to make an informed decision to get a breed that's been health tested, that's temperament is predictable, that they know what the final size of this puppy is going to end up, they know what the traits are, they know what the temperament is going to be, then people should be allowed to do that. But again, because people in shelters and all that take the time to reach out, to speak to people, so people feel comforted, they feel they have a certain amount of knowledge, and so that's the direction they go in, that they end up doing these things. And I'm not saying it's wrong, but what I'm saying is that this year, try to be patient with pet people. Try to educate people about your breeds. There are so many. I mean, majority of you, well, all of you should be on Facebook if you're watching this, or YouTube. So there are so many pet groups in your area. If you don't have the time, start with your own breed. Okay, then find the group for your own breed. If there isn't one, start it. Make it a point of reference. Get together with some breeders of whatever breed you have in your area or country to start a group that will provide information to people that are thinking of starting in your breed, people that are considering getting a puppy from that breed. And be patient, answer, put fact sheets. I know some countries there are breed clubs that are excellent, But the problem is that you must make yourself accessible. So if you have a breed club, put it on Facebook. Make sure that you put on a friendly face, a welcoming face for people to come in to answer questions, however idiotic that you may think they are. So do those sort of things to get involved, to engage with people, to be a fount of information, to help them, because we don't do enough of that. Trust me, from seeing the reactions, the comments, the things that people on many of these pet groups are saying and doing, it's clear that we failed to truly be the custodians. I love this word. As an owner of a pedigree dog, as a breeder, you are a custodian of your breed. And a custodian is someone that wants to nurture, take care, because they love this breed. They want to see it get better. And you cannot be a good custodian if you're not going to spend the time to nurture people, to bring people into a proper understanding, to have clear knowledge. I'm not saying BS them. I mean, be honest with them and educate them so they really know what they're up against. I mean, if suitability, some people, you'd be astounded. Some people don't even consider about getting a giant breed and they live in a little apartment. Well, if you have an active lifestyle, if you're outdoors most of the time and your dog is going to follow you, that doesn't make a difference because your apartment's just a big, sleeping area for your dog. But if you're thinking of getting a giant breed, you live in an apartment and you work all day and you expect that dog to be happy or feel that you've done the right thing, you fail. So that's what I mean, suitability, stuff like that. People don't even consider this. It's amazing the things that people, general pet people, don't consider, don't think about. For us, it's second nature. It's just normal. But remember that it's not for them. And so for a lot of these people, it's not even, they don't even realize that it's, that it's possible, that it's happening, that it's something that they should consider. It's a point to think about. And this is why they get carried away with newfangled breeds or all this fancy stuff, because these are the people that take the time to engage them. We don't. We are too busy running from dog show to dog show. We're too busy, I don't know, doing what. But we are not interested, unless they want to become a show person, we're not interested to mentor pet people. But the majority of our puppies end up as pets. And so it's important that, well, of course, all of you make sure they get into the right homes and to the right people. But what I'm saying is that for the general pet people, even if they never buy a puppy from you, at least they've been given accurate information about your breed, about breed traits, about temperament, about training, whatever it may be. And take the role of being an ambassador seriously. Do not relegate that role, as we've done for so long, to our national organizations, to global organizations, thinking it's their job. It is part of what they do, but we are the organizations. There is no organization without us. Have you thought about that? There is no kennel club without you. So if you don't realize that you have a role to do, an important role to play in this, then it's time you realize that. It's time you actually worked out that you have an important role to play. And it's time to start playing that. So in 21, let's hope that we don't get upset when we see puppies advertised for crazy amounts on classified adverts and things like that from people, breeders we've never heard of because they're not genuine breeders. I'm not saying run out and advertise on these things, but I'm saying when you get involved in these pet groups and things like that, you're going to be able to educate people, to make informed decisions, to find genuine breeders, to find people that are true custodians and ambassadors of their breed. And that starts by you being one, by you being the first point of reference. So I've rambled on, and I'm going to wrap this up by just saying, think about what I've said. Think about taking this role seriously, because we don't. Because it's easier not to. But at the end of the day, if you are true to your breed, if your love for your breed is true, then this is a role that you have to play. It's something you have to do. You cannot have someone else do it. And my hope and prayer is that you think about what I've said, some of the points I've said, and take on this role of ambassador, or realize that you are the face of the breed, of your breed, and what people are going to see. Take care, everyone. I hope you all have a fabulous 21, and we'll keep coming back with interesting stuff, hopefully, that'll engage each and every one of you. Take care. Bye now.